Welcome to our next lesson. So what happens when you have an incredibly important project? Stakes are really high and you need experts on the team. Not just anyone, but experts. We call these experts virtuoso teams. The way that we manage them is completely different than the way we manage regular teams. So if you ever have the opportunity to have a really high stakes project and you call in industry experts, top in your field, this is how you manage them. We're again going to take a look at Harvard Business School and look at what Fisher and Boynton recommend. Keep in mind, a lot of what we're going to be recommending in this lesson is very different, if not opposite, of what some of our lessons that you've seen previously, because this is how to deal with experts. It is a completely different person that you're going to be managing. Now imagine how high the stakes are. Your company has to enter an untested new market, no room for failure. You have to reorganize the company to take advantage of a new IT platform. You have a crisis, public relations related. Product tampering. The news station is outside your door and you have to handle them. To manage feats like this, you need what we call virtuoso teams or top experts in your field. Virtuoso means expert. Now, the problem with these experts is they're superstars and they know it. They're very temperamental. Some of them are angry, rude, egocentric. They think that they're the best in the world and everyone else is a servant. We kind of have to learn how to manage that kind of person. Now, you may worry that forcing a group of them to work together will ignite a failed explosion. So you might be tempted to settle for an ordinary project team because these people can be really hard to work with. Don't do it. They are actually worth the aggravation that they are going to be putting you through. Here's why. Ordinary teams, they can be polite and professional and they want to get along, but they can produce unremarkable results. When you assemble your top expert virtuoso team, you're going to actually manage them in what we call counterintuitive strategies, meaning ways that you would think this doesn't make sense, but wait, it actually does. I'll give you an example. Instead of emphasizing the collective, meaning we work as a team, celebrate the individual egos on the team by creating opportunities for each of them to shine with a solo performance. They get the spotlight. Then you're going to build the group ego by encouraging a single-minded focus on the goal. So we promote the individual experts. They're all superstars. But we create a group ego that the team is an expert and they have no room for failure because they'll look bad. You're going to foster impassioned, direct dialogue that does not spare feelings. So you may be mean to people, very rude and candid. That's okay. This is all about getting a perfect job done. In the resulting fighting that you may get, there's going to be some yelling and screaming. Don't be afraid of that. In fact, expect it. Your team members during their fighting will actually forge their most brilliant ideas. So let them fight, let them yell and scream and call each other's names. This is going to be stressful, by the way. However, this lesson is to tell you what to expect. So in the beginning, you're going to assemble these star performers. Hire only members with the best skills, even if they have little experience with the actual problem at hand. So we really want industry experts. We're looking for their intelligence is what we're looking for, not their experience. Now, here's a case study to show you. After investing heavily in a site promising a big oil find, Norsk Hydro discovered the site was dry. The team leader, Kjell Sunda, assembled a top expert virtuoso team to avert an investor relations nightmare. The team included the best technical people from across the company. The goal was to analyze tons of data, pinpoint what went wrong, and convince the stakeholders that such an outcome would not occur again. Now, building the group ego. As your team project progresses, help the stars break through their egocentrism and morph that into a powerful unified team with a shared identity. So even though we're promoting the individual, we also have to promote the group is an individual with its own identity as well. They're part of it, and you're having two egos, the individual ego and the group ego. Another case study to give you an example is Sunda initially broke with Norsk Hydro's consensus-driven culture by publicly celebrating his team members and putting them in the spotlight on TV. He established a star mentality by saying, this is the A team, they're going to come up with an amazing result, and the pressure was on them publicly, which is why they performed. So then he built up the team's group ego by protecting the members from intrusive scrutiny from above. It gave them privacy, gave them all the access to resources that they need, and then said, your conclusions are definitive. Whatever you decide, we're going to do. We're not even going to question it. You're the boss. Now, you can make the work what we call a contact sport. You can use these face-to-face conversations in designated spaces to foster impassioned dialogue. If it ends up being a Zoom session where they're there together for hours, that's fine. If you can put them in the room together, all the better. More on the case study, Sunda established a dedicated team room, filled it with computer workstations and other scientific and communications equipment. The space functioned as a workroom and a meeting place for candid, intense discussions that led members to bounce ideas off of each other. So it was like an intense think tank. We also want to keep in mind that we want to respect the customer's intelligence. Sometimes experts don't do that. Foster the belief that your team's customers want more, not less, and you can't fool them, you can't trick them. They're smart people. You will encourage them to deliver solutions that are going to be consistent with the higher perception. So build up your customer that they're smart people and you have to get a really good solution out of it. You can't fool them. Again, back to our case study, for Norsk Hydro's A team, the customers were actually equity market analysts. If you didn't satisfy them, the stock price was going to go down. So the team's job was to manage the market's reaction to news of the dry site. So there's going to be bad news coming out in the press. If its explanation was sloppy or incomplete, the company's market value would nosedive. That's the share price. Now, the team provided thoughtful explanations that left the market analysts impressed with the firm's ability to respond convincingly and quickly to market concerns. The company did receive kudos in the press and was spared serious financial erosion. So the analysts were convinced by the experts that the explanation was so good that this was just a one-time bad event that they did not come out with a sell recommendation at their client's brokerage firm, which would have tanked the stock. So basically, these analysts said to everyone, hold your stock positions, everything's fine. This is a one-off situation. Next is what we call herding the cats. So use some time management strategies to balance the team members' need for individual attention. There's going to be a lot of that. And the intellectual freedom with your uncompromising demands and deadlines for the high stakes project. So even though these are experts, potentially famous people, you can yell at them, say, hurry up, you have a deadline. I don't care that you're going to be number one, you need to meet the goal. So it's okay that you're a little bit pushy with them. Again, back to our case study, Sunda forced these A team members to keep their presentations to 15 minutes. Remember, these people are superstars, so when they have the floor and they're doing a PowerPoint, they may want to talk all day. Now, this encouraged members to use the allotment to maximum effect and discouraged aggressive members, and there's going to be aggressive members, from imposing their viewpoints on others by limiting them to 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, their microphones were turned off, and they couldn't go all day. Now, the strong adherence to time made everyone aware that they all had to dance to the same rhythm and that everyone was an equal. No one was going to be more of an expert than other experts on the team. Now I'd like to show some compare and contrast to traditional teams versus the top expert virtuoso teams. So these top expert virtuoso teams do differ from traditional teams along every dimension, which is why I said in the beginning that this lesson can look the exact opposite of some of the lessons that have preceded it and some of the lessons that are going to be coming after this. Now, They're going to be different from the way that you recruit these members to the way that you enforce their processes and from the expectations that they hold to the results that they produce. So this lesson is actually standalone and it's only for experts. Now let's do another compare and contrast. On the left side, you will see the traditional teams, and on the right, the top expert virtuoso teams. So how do we assemble them? For a traditional team, you're going to choose these members for their availability. You assign members according to the individual's availability and past experience with the problem. So do you have experience and are you free? And then you fill in the team as needed. With the experts, you choose them for skill, not an open calendar. So insist on hiring only those with the best skills, regardless of the individual's familiarity with the problem. So what we're doing is we're hiring smart people. Smart people can figure out things even if they don't have previous experience. So you want to recruit these specialists for each position on the team. Next is where you do the emphasis. With traditional teams, we have always emphasized the collective, the group, where we try to repress the individual egos. We encourage members to get along. We choose a solution that's based on consensus. We assure that the efficiency will trump the creativity. Not so with the expert teams. We do the opposite. We emphasize the individual. We celebrate the individual egos and elicit the best from each team member. We encourage members to compete and create opportunities for solo performances. We choose a solution based on merit, and we assure that creativity is going to be trumping efficiency. More focused. Traditional teams, we focus on the task. We want to complete critical tasks on time, get the project done on time. For these top expert virtuoso teams, focus on the ideas. We want to generate a frequent and rich flow of ideas among the team members. Find and express the breakthrough idea on time. We're looking for a brilliant idea. On traditional teams, they will work individually and remotely. So we would require individual members to complete their tasks on their own. We would allow communication via email, phone, weekly meetings, and we would encourage polite conversation. Not so with the top expert virtuoso teams. We want them to work together and intensively. We want to force those members into close physical proximity. If you can't do that, Zoom calls that are going to last all night. We want to force these members to work together at a fast pace and together. We want to force direct dialogue without sparing feelings. So this is not about being polite. This is about getting the best solution. Next difference with traditional teams is that we address what we call the average customer. We attempt to reach the broadest possible customer base. We try to appeal to the average, the most people. We base decisions on established market knowledge, and we affirm these common stereotypes. With the top expert virtuoso teams, we address the sophisticated customer, our best customers who pay us the most. We attempt to surprise the customers by stretching their expectations, appealing to their sophisticated nature. We defy established market knowledge, and we reject common stereotypes. So we are looking for a really special solution that will set us apart in the marketplace and help us be much better than our competitors. Now we're going to be looking at our homework. In this homework, it's going to be a little bit different than the past homeworks that you've seen. This is going to be a reflection paper. It's going to be 1 to 2 pages. What I'm more interested in is you thinking about what you've just learned, because it's completely different than some of the past lessons that you've seen. I'd like you to review the last 5 slides in this video that details how expert teams would work differently than the traditional teams. So go back on those last 5 slides where it says this is how you treat a traditional team and this is how you treat a top expert virtuoso team. Choose just one of these slides that resonates with you and write and look at the differences, the difference in how I'm asking you to treat these teams. And think, why would you do that? Why would you treat the expert team so much differently? And why do you think it's going to work? I know it works, but I want you to explain to me the logic behind what I've showed you. Why do you think it would work in your own mind? I want to see what you have absorbed in this lesson. I also want you to not only tell me why you think this will work, what the logic is, but what would happen to that expert team if you manage them like a traditional team. So take a look at the expert team. You can make up whatever case study or scenario you want and see what would happen to that expert team if you treated them like a traditional team. What negative outcomes would occur? Why would it be a bad idea? I want you to do this so that you know that when you do have a high stakes situation, you only get one shot to do it right. And so this homework is to have it really dug into your brain why we do things almost the opposite with high stakes scenarios such as these. Because when it's your turn, it's probably going to be very potentially a publicly traded company where you will be responsible for influencing the stock price. This could be billions of dollars. You only get one shot at getting it right. And with this 20-minute homework paper, I really want you to understand the logic of today's lesson. So, I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. I'm excited to read your 20-minute reflection homework paper, and I will see you at the next lesson. Bye-bye.